Gentlemen, as you know, this is not the first time the Congress has dealt with this issue. 5 years ago, those who are serving as CEOs then of your companies were asked, I specifically got into it, whether they agreed with President Bush's statement. And I quote here, "With $55 oil, we don't need incentives for oil and gas companies to explore." And conditions today are pretty much like they were in 2005. Record profits, price hikes certainly above inflation. And Mr. Mulva, you'll recall you were at the hearing, and what I'd like to do briefly for the committee, Mr. Chairman, is actually replay the portion of that hearing where the oil company CEOs said they did not need incentives from the federal government when oil was at $55 a barrel. If we could just show that video briefly.
Could you please there at the still?
Gentlemen, the President says, and I quote, "With $55 oil, we don't need incentives to oil and gas companies to explore. There are plenty of incentives." Now, today, the price of oil is above $55 per barrel. Is the President wrong when he says we don't need incentives for oil and gas exploration? If I could just have a yes or no answer and go right down the road, beginning with you, Mr. Raymond. Is the President wrong?
No, and I don't think our companies ask for any incentives for exploration.
Sir?
Agreed. In my oral comments, I said we do not need, but we do need, though, is access.
Just a yes or no.
Access, yes.
Sir? No. President's correct?
He's correct.
Sir?
Yes, he is.
All right. Gentlemen, the reason I wanted to get into this is today's conditions are much like they were in 2005. That's why I mentioned the profits. Certainly, the prices are far in excess of inflation. Mr. Mulva, you were there. You specifically said in 2005, Senator, with respect to oil and gas production, we do not need incentives. So oil is now right around $100 a barrel. And my question, I want to start with you, Mr. Mulva, because of your history. If your company didn't need incentives to drill for oil at $55 a barrel, how in the world can you possibly need incentives when oil is at $100 a barrel?
Well, two aspects of that question. First, at $55 going to $100, we look at the past, and the easy-to-find oil has already been found. Our costs go up, taxes have gone up, the oil is more difficult to find, more challenging. Our costs have changed. But I would also say that when in response to the question several years in the past, we don't view the items that we're talking about, foreign tax credits, Section 199, and intangible development cost, we don't view those as subsidies. We essentially view those as similar types of provisions that are made available to other companies, all industries, in a similar way. So we don't need incentives to drill, well, just as I said several years ago.
Mr. Mulva, then, as now, I'm talking about industry-specific incentives, percentage depletion, intangible drilling costs, geologic and geophysical costs. These are industry-specific incentives. You all said you didn't need them in 2005. Markets, by the way, were global in 2005, just as they are now. And I just can't understand how, even if you account for all the possibilities in the world, how you can make the case that you need these industry-specific incentives when oil's at $100 a barrel when you told me you didn't need them at $55.
We essentially, intangible development expenses, we view these essentially similar to research and development, technology, similar types of provisions that are made available to other industry, the mining.
No, those are industry-specific incentives, sir. They were in 2005. They continue to be today.
Yes, but they're very similar to what's offered to other industries as well.
Well, and I would note you also get the R&D credit as well. But let me just go right down the road, Mr. Watson, your predecessor at Chevron said that he didn't need incentives as well at $55 a barrel.
Well, Senator, I'd like to offer several comments. First, in response to a couple of things you said, you talked about percentage depletion. These companies aren't eligible for percentage depletion, so perhaps there's some confusion about what we're eligible for.
When we're talking about industry-specific provisions, and
right.
That's what the President was talking about in 2005. That's what I'm talking about today. He just said incentives. And you all said you didn't need them in 2005, and it sure seems to be a different story today.
First, we're not eligible for percentage depletion, which you cited. Second,
you're eligible for a lot of incentives.
There are. You cited the conditions are exactly the same as 2005. They're not, respectfully. We have seen costs rise dramatically in our business. Any of a number of published indices would tell you that the cost of doing business have more than doubled in our industry since that time. We're not asking for special treatment. We're asking for the same treatment and comparable treatment to other industries, Senator.
If you look at what the Congressional Research Service has even said, and they've said that recently, you all continue to go way beyond inflation in terms of your costs. In fact, if you took inflation-adjusted prices, today the price of oil is higher than it was in 2005. That is adjusting for inflation today.